This is for Algebra 1. Today we're going to talk about changes in slope and y-intercept. Remember we learned earlier this week that slope is measuring the steepness of a line, and the y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. We consider it kind of the starting point in some situations. Now let's talk for a minute about the linear parent function. The equation for that is y equal x. We learned that at the beginning of the year. Some things we need to remember about the parent function for linear graphs is that it goes through the origin. It has a slope equal to 1. It has a y-intercept equal to 0 because it goes through the origin. And the line goes up to the right. Just a quick reminder, we learned that slope is m. So m equals 1. We learned that y-intercept is b, so b equals 0. We have the slope-intercept form of an equation. That is y is equal to mx plus b. You can think of that as just getting y by itself. When you look at an equation in slope-intercept form, m is your number in front of x, and we learned yesterday that that is the slope. B is the number at the end usually. It may or may not be at the end, but it is your constant. It is the number without a variable, and this is your y-intercept. If you increase the slope, in other words, if you make it bigger, okay, that's what increase is. So if you make the slope bigger, then the line is going to get steeper. Okay, so if you start out like this and you increase the slope, it's going to get like this, and it's going to go up faster. If you decrease the slope, then the line gets less steep or flatter. So if you start like this and you decrease or make the slope smaller, your line is going to get flatter, something like that. A positive slope we learned earlier this week means that it's going to go up to the right. A negative slope means that your line is going to go down to the right. We learned this on Monday. If you increase the y-intercept, okay, once again, increase is when you make it bigger. This is going to take the line and make it shift up, okay? So you have a line and you increase the y-intercept and the whole thing just moves up. This was my first y-intercept. This is my second one. It got bigger. I increased it. If you decrease it or make it smaller, then the line is going to shift down. So if you start with this and you make the y-intercept smaller, the whole line just moves down. We went from this y-intercept to this y-intercept. So looking at this equation, y equal to x, m is your slope. It's the number in front of x, and so for this one, it's 2. B is your y-intercept. It's the number by itself. There's not anything back there by itself. So that would be the same thing as adding 0 to it, so your y-intercept is 0. Since your y-intercept is 0, it's going to go through the origin. Since your slope is a positive 2, your line is going to go up to the right. Since your slope is 2, which is bigger than 1, you got steeper. Now when we're answering these questions, we are comparing it to the linear parent function, y equal x. So we're still comparing to y equal x. My m, which is my slope, the number in front of x, is 0.5. My b, my y-intercept, would be at the end. There's not one, so it's 0. Since the y-intercept is 0, it goes through the origin. The slope is positive, it goes up to the right. Remember, we're comparing it to 1. 0.5 is smaller than 1, so my line is going to be flatter. My slope is negative 2. My y-intercept is still 0, so it's going through the origin. I have a negative slope this time, so it's going to go down to the right. And do not look at the sign, just look at the number. We're comparing 2 to 1. 2 is bigger, so it's steeper than the parent function. This one, slope's the number in front of x, it's 1/2. Y-intercept's the constant, there's not one, it's 0. Since the y-intercept is 0, it goes through the origin. Since the slope is positive, the line goes up to the right. And since the slope is smaller than 1, it's flatter than the parent function. Y equal 3.5x, my slope is a number with x, it's 3.5. My y-intercept is the constant. There's not one, so it's 0. Since the y-intercept is 0, it goes through the origin. Since the slope is positive, my line goes up to the right. And since 3.5 is bigger than 1, my line is steeper than the parent. Y equal negative 1/2 x. My slope is negative 1/2. There's still not a constant, so my y-intercept is still 0, which means it goes through the origin. Slope is negative, so it goes down to the right. 1/2, remember, ignore the sign, just look at the fraction. 1/2 is smaller than 1, therefore it's flatter than the parent. Y equal 4/3 x. The slope's the number in front of x, so it would be 4/3. Y-intercept's the constant at the end. There's not one, so it's 0. Since the y-intercept is 0, this line is going to go through the origin. Since the slope is positive, it's going to go up to the right. This is a tricky one. 4/3 is a fraction, however, it is larger than 1. The reason it's larger than 1 is because 4, the number on top, is bigger. And so you could also put that in your calculator, 4 divided by 3, and you would get 1.33, the bar over it. That's bigger than 1, so my line is going to be steeper. Kind of tricky there. Watch when you have a fraction, make sure whether it's bigger than 1 or smaller than 1. Y equal x plus 2. Slope is the number in front of x. There's not one, so it's 1. Y-intercept is the constant. That's going to be the number at the end, or the constant by itself, so it's 2. Okay, we're comparing it to the origin. If the y-intercept is 2, that is above the origin. So if it's positive y-intercept, it's above the origin. It's going to go up to the right because my slope is positive. And 1 is the same as 1, so it's not steeper than the parent, and it's not flatter. So we'll just draw a line through that to show that neither. Y equal x minus 5. My slope is the number in front of x, so it's 1. My y-intercept is negative 5. Make sure you use this sign with it. Negative 5, if I were to put it on the y-intercept is down there, that is below the origin because it's negative. My slope is positive, so it's going to go up to the right. My slope is 1. When I compare that to 1, it's the same thing, so it's not steeper and it's not flatter. I'm just going to draw a line through that. Y equal x minus 1/2. My slope is 1. My y-intercept is negative 1/2. This is a negative, so it's going to go below the origin. Slope is positive, so it's going to go up to the right. 1 is the same as 1, so it's not steeper and it's not flatter. Y equal 2x plus 5. My slope's the number in front of x, so it's 2. My y-intercept is a constant, so it's 5. 5 is bigger than 0, so it's going to be above the origin. Slope of 2 is positive, so it's going to go up to the right. And 2 is bigger than 1, and so it is steeper than the parent. Y equal negative x plus 2. Slope's a number with x, and so my slope is negative 1. Y-intercept is a constant. It's 2. 2 is positive, so it is above the origin. Slope is negative, so it will go down to the right. Don't look at the sign, just look at the number. We have a 1. We compare that to a 1 from the parent function. It's not steep and it's not flat, so we draw a line through it. That takes you to the assignment dealing with changes in slope and y-intercept. If you have any questions, come see me during speed.